Alrighty, hello everyone. I think we are live on YouTube. We're about to kick off our weekly event at Floxies Community, and I just wanted to show you a little bit of the onboarding experience when people join our Gather Town. So here it is. I've got my little cute avatar. I'm not changing the shirt, even though I'm wearing a white shirt because I'm just about on time for our event. So let's get into the space. Let's see how everyone is doing today. Okay, I'm in the wrong room. Hey Mirella. Hello. You can follow. Yeah, I think we're already live because I'm a little bit late for the event today, so we are already live on YouTube.
Because I was about to speak in Italian.
That's okay. We can leave that for another session where we try and speak all our languages.
Okay. Let's go.
Let's go. This is a sneak peek, actually, of our secret space. As soon as everything loads, here we are. This is our main headquarters at Floxies Community. So we are going to join the table. Hi, girls. Hello. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hey, Mirella. Aida. Hello. Great to see you.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm actually I was rushing because I thought I was a little bit late and was starting to get stressed, but it looks like I'm in good time.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I think I need to work on some kind of better onboarding experience for the guest speakers, because I don't obviously Gather Town is not such a common shared platform yet, so I'm always a little bit concerned that they get a little bit lost, so I need to possibly add a tutorial video when they sign up. We can work on that.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful, because if somebody that is just like used to Zooms or Skypes, when you come here, it's a little bit like, ooh,
it's a whole
now
new
I have to move around this
experience.
city.
It's a whole new experience. Let me just double check if I've got any messages. I think we're good. It's all fine. We should be live on YouTube as well, so we can just have a chat. If worst scenario, we can just have a chat.
Yeah. So we're live now on YouTube already.
Are we? We should be.
I don't know.
Let me just check. I think we might be, but it might just be me and you watching the stream right now. So that's all good. Mirella, why don't you take a seat? You're stressing me out.
Where am I? What am I doing?
Come and have a seat.
Yeah, sit all day. I don't know.
She wants to be standing around now.
We need to add a gym. We need to add a gym on together.
Yeah, that would make a big difference.
Hey, Hillary.
Hi. A gym. We could do like yoga.
Yeah.
Yoga
oh my God. You just gave me another idea. Okay. Inviting a yoga. If anyone's watching and is a yoga teacher, we've got work for you. Unpaid.
Unpaid. An unpaid internship at Floxies.
Yeah, but it's all in goodwill. Hey, Renee. Lovely to see you.
Hello.
Hello, welcome to Floxies Community. Sorry about the onboarding kind of experience. Yeah, Gather Town could be a little bit intimidating if you never used it before.
But no, it's so good. We have a group that uses this at work, so
amazing. Well, I can see you made it, so you're here.
I did.
great to finally meet you. I feel like I'm just meeting a VIP.
You're too sweet. Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
You're very welcome. So yeah, the way our usual. Oh, she stepped out. There you
Sorry,
go.
I keep stepping
No,
out.
no
I'm gonna
worries,
leave it
no
alone.
worries. You can see in front of that big book if you like. That's where I think that's where the spotlight is. But
Got it. Okay, I'm gonna navigate over there.
just to be OCD with the seats. I do that in my house as well. Like when I'm having dinner, I've got my favorite seat, and then if
Oh wait,
someone,
is it next to which book? Did you say
yeah, no,
book?
that's fine. That's fine. Yeah,
This one
that's
or the
it.
one that's next to Ida? Is that Ida
No,
or
I think
Ida?
that's fine. Just in front of the blue book.
Yeah.
Okay.
You look like
Perfect.
a proper speaker now.
The central seat.
Yeah,
Essential seat. I love it.
So yeah, the way our weekly meetings kind of work here at Floxies, first off, you might or might not know, we're a international community for women who share an interest for digital design or no-code development, particularly Webflow. And what we're trying to do, the reason why I reached out to you is because I saw that you're quite passionate about representing women in tech. And you do so many things that I heard in one of the interviews that you had, that some people have asked you if you actually have twins, or have you got someone like impersonating you, because you do so much out there in the space. And yeah, kudos to you and everything that you do. People here at Floxies, Renee is a super vetted designer. She actually works, I believe, Renee, as a UX research and design leader at LinkedIn.
That's correct.
And she's also the podcast host at a Tech Rap Queen. And I love the fact that you define yourself as a queen, and I love your crown, and that's just beautiful. So I just feel like you can empower us so much, and like I could feel your passion, even though I've never spoken to you before. Just reading your profile, it was like so encouraging that I had to invite you to our events.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So yeah, we're just gonna have a chat today. It's gonna be roughly an hour, where you just present your topic, your favorite topic, and for however time you like to. And then usually we leave questions at the end, Q&A with the community. Yeah, so it's up to the speaker however you would like to run the event. If you want it to be interactive, if you want people to just interrupt and ask some questions, or if you just want to present, and we will ask everything at the end. So completely up to you.
No worries. Thank you. And thank you for that introduction. I love that this is a small, intimate group. Either way is fantastic. I love speaking to big groups and small groups. So since it's only a few of us here, I'll run it a little bit differently. As I'm presenting, I'll just stop and ask for any questions or any reflection moments as well. What I forgot to ask you, Claudia, is there a way to present in gathering, or is
yes it... So if you look at the bottom of your screen, there's like a little monitor. Screen share. Yes, you might have to give it permissions.
Right.
Yeah, and as for the people that might be dropping in late, we're very casual and chilled community.
I love it. No worries. I was gonna say, if you know someone who you think should be here, I always say this in all my talks. If you know someone who you think should be here, just ping them and say, hey, Renee's about to get started. Don't want to miss the gem. I call them gems. You don't want to miss the gems that are about to be dropped. So, tell them to come on in. There's room, there's space. They are welcomed. But thank you, Claudia, for that introduction. I do want to make one quick tweak or caveat. So I am by trade a design UX researcher. Mm-hmm. So I work together with other designers. But when you are a UX researcher in the space, you do take on design elements as well. You may not be in the craft of designing with the tools of design, but you're working alongside. But you'll see where there's a lot of symmetry as well. So yeah, with that, technology is going to work.
Perfect. And I'm just sending a reminder in the chat in our Discord. So we're just a baby, actually. We're nearly 1 year old in our community.
Oh wow.
We're baby Floxies, but everyone here is either a designer or want to be a designer. Personally, I work in education. I'm trying to switch careers and get into tech. We also have Webflow developers, just all sorts of, a range of amazingly talented technologic women. And my goal is just to empower them and give them the visibility they deserve. And regardless of where their career, what they want to do, we're just supporting one another. So that's, that's what I would say my and our core values are here, just uplifting one another.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Beautiful. So what's going to happen is I actually can't see you all. So I'm going to try to flip back and forth as I go through this really quickly because I do want to keep it intimate. So yeah, we've got an hour or 50 minutes. Yeah. I'll spend about 20-25 minutes going through this, maybe a little bit longer. And then I'll stop presenting and just go through some Q&A. So I'll talk really briefly about my journey. This talk is really about growing as an individual contributor or as a manager, how to really design that experience for yourself. We won't do this thriving and flourishing activity. We won't have any time for that. But I'm going to just kind of talk about takeaways and putaways. We always talk about things that we take away during a talk, but I always like to encourage people to think about things that you want to put away, things that you want to shelf or not do or stop doing, and things that you want to take with you. So if we are not connected on LinkedIn or any of the social medias, here are all of my handles. So the QR code here, if you hold your camera up, it'll just take you straight to my profile where you can connect with me. I always show this QR code because one, it's a feature that I help create on the LinkedIn platform. Two, to let everybody know that you have your own QR code. So if you don't know that, that is available to you. So when you're doing presentations, and it's just a really great way to engage the audience, you can put up your QR code in your presentation. So connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with me on Twitter, Instagram. It's _the Renee, or the _Renee, and then also on my website, therenee.com. So I love to keep the conversation going. If there's anything that I say today that sparks something, or you want to again share this knowledge or gems with others, please of course tag me in those posts and those communications. I would love to hear from you. As Claudia mentioned, I do have a podcast. It's called Tech Rep Queen. You can listen across all the podcast platforms, and it's tech design and culture rap sessions, specifically about Black leaders throughout the tech industry, startup industry, design industry as well, and how they are elevating the craft and what they're doing, and really hearing from people, women again, and Black professionals that you don't necessarily hear from all the time. So I've interviewed the head of Instagram of Japan, who used to be the head of design of Instagram here in San Francisco. I've just recently interviewed the director of YouTube Music, another Black woman. So yeah, just the faces behind a lot of the things that we are utilizing today. So definitely check out the podcast. Okay, let's jump into it. So I invite you to be present and just take a moment and just let everything fall by the wayside and just invest this time in yourself. And you're here, so that's amazing. And you're part of this great group of Floxies, the Floxie community. And so I really just encourage you just to again, invest this time in yourself. We can get distracted with all the things, messages, phones. I forgot to turn my phone off, so my phone is beeping. But I just hopefully that you are focused on what I'm sharing with you today, and you are internalizing that, taking it in, and start applying the things that are relevant to you in your career. So I always like to show this to everyone because this is indicative of my career journey. This is actually the design scribble created by Damian Newman, who used to be a head designer at IDEO, the, of course, design um, studio, the design firm, infamous for design thinking and things like that. So he used to work at IDEO, and he created this to show what the design process looks like. It's kind of messy in the beginning, it's divergence, convergence, and then you finally get this clearing. And so when I first saw this, I was like, this is a really great visual of what my career looks like and how it was kind of entangled. And you can look at my LinkedIn profile. I've had multiple pivots. I was in sales, I was in customer experience, and then pivoted into UX, and then found this runway of sorts where I've been able to excel, thrive, and flourish. But what's really important about this is what I want you to take away is that it is a continuous line. This is one singular line that is just connected by zigzags, squiggles, ups and downs, curves, but it is a continuous line. And it's so important to realize that as you are on your design journey, Claudia, I heard you mention that you're pivoting and going into tech and things like that. It is so important to take those skill sets, things that you have learned along your way with you, to carry it forward. That even when you're pivoting, you're not making the sharp pivot to drop everything and then become this whole new person. You're taking a collective of all the things that you have learned along your journey. So if you decide to stay as an individual contributor where you're not managing people, or you are going down the path where you want to lead a team, the key thing is take those experiences that you have throughout your journeys, wherever you have landed, in all the spaces that you have been a part of. So for those of you who don't know, this is a old cartoon figure called Voltron. I'm totally dating myself, but I like to use Voltron again as a visual aid to show the power where you bring in all these different skill sets and attributions of who you are to become the super designer, the super researcher, the super UX practitioner in your space and in your field. So Voltron has almost like a transformer. This was actually the precursor to transformer, right? So individually, the legs, the arms kind of do their own things or their own individuals, but collectively, when you bring them together, you see this even super, dynamic, powerful figure. And so I encourage you as you're going through your journey to take inventory of all the different skill sets that you may have that are not necessarily just design focused. So you're not just looking at how well you design things in Figma, how well you are creating, prototypes and wireframes and things like that. Even as a researcher, how are you, crafting your reports and things that are very researchy, but take those skills that are also about interpersonal skills, those skills of being able to, of course, communicate, negotiate. I tell people all the time, one of my best assets as a researcher is my sales skills. Being able to communicate with people, tell a story, get people invested into an idea or concept. Research didn't teach me that. The skills of being a researcher and Nielsen Norman and all these books, they didn't teach me that. The sales experience that I had actually taught me that. So again, as you're thinking about your journey, carry these skills forward, to really help you shine and thrive and flourish. Again, either as an IC, an individual contributor, or as a manager. You can YouTube this talk that I gave. It's called Enterprise UX, and then with my name. And I literally go through a very detailed, very vulnerable story of my journey into UX and talk a lot about, again, the pivots, the things that I had to go through, and realizing that I was actually setting myself up to be a better researcher by not putting away the things that I didn't think were relevant in my career, but actually elevating those things as well. So hopefully you'll watch that. So yeah, the talk is called Becoming a Research Her. And the her I was an acronym for highly enterprise ready. Like going into the enterprise world as a researcher, I had all these skills that actually helped me become highly ready. Okay. So I'll skip through that part. So individual contributor and manager. So I'm giving this insights and these points at a high level to talk about specifically how this may show up in a company, in a startup, in an organization. So I'm not talking about necessarily, entrepreneurship, starting your own agency, going off and doing your own thing, but more specifically how you show up within an organization, whether it's a small organization, a larger organization, whatever industry you're in. But this idea of, or the paths of being an individual contributor, again, not having direct reports, not having a team, versus a manager or people manager where you are responsible for people development. So this in the plain lame's term is how I'm defining individual contributor and manager. No direct reports and direct reports. And so as you're assessing your career, it is extremely important to understand what does that pathway look like. So if you are in within an organization now, it should be very clear what your trajectory could look like. So on the left is an example of the different roles that you may see as a designer, as a researcher, as a practitioner, as an individual contributor, whether you're starting out as associate or junior, going all the way up to senior. Staff is a term that you hear a lot in tech. You hear that sometimes with engineers as a staff engineer. So you are, higher than a senior. Your projects are a lot different. They're more horizontal. They're not necessarily embedded in, one particular area. And this could differ depending on companies. But staff has a very, again, bigger responsibility. Senior staff, principal, here you're really getting up there in terms of subject matter expertise, domain specificity, and then senior principal. So all of this is in the individual contributor path. So you can see where, again, you can have great runway as an individual contributor. But again, you need to make sure that you're taking inventory of what is available as career growth in your space, in the company that you're in, or at least having this blueprint, this journey or the career paths available to say, okay, I know that at this company, the highest position I can go to as an individual contributor is senior, but I really want to get to this principal. So I need to make sure I am looking at companies, positions, opportunities where I can get to that level. So now you begin to know what to look for. Now you know how you should assess companies and opportunities. So what is the career? We hear the question during interviews of like, you should ask people like, what does the career growth look like? You can literally say, what is the career growth in terms of job titles for a designer, for a front-end engineer, or UI designer, What does that look like? And be very clear about that. Switching over to manager, these are different trajectories for the manager side, whether you are a lead, which is usually someone who is just starting out, they're just early in their manager career and they're getting a smaller team, and then going all the way up, you'll see as manager, director, senior director, and then after that, there's the executive side where then you're going into VP, executive VP, and things like that. And so as a manager, and I'll call this out in a little bit, in that things change a lot. And now you are building a team and you're not necessarily within the craft anymore. You're not necessarily designing and figuring out the problems at a ground level. You are now helping to create systems and operations to help others do their best work. And as you're designing and thinking about your career journey, you have to literally be brutally honest with yourself. Do you like people enough where you want to manage them? Do you have the patience, the depth of confidentiality where you have to hold a lot of people's intimate and private information and secrets, and so because you become a confidant and people confide in you, and that's a lot to take on. And so I've seen people, when they're in this kind of which way to go, make the mistake of jumping to manager and not really doing the internal work themselves. One, because they haven't seen a good example of what a good manager looks like. That's another talk for another day, right? But not really doing the assessment of themselves of like, is this really where I thrive? And is this really where I get my nourishment and flourish, is helping other people? It may not, and that's okay. You may get all your inspiration, your flourishing. I was about to say flourishness. You may get all your flourishness, maybe that's a word, flourishness, from actually creating and designing and building the thing, and really leaning into the craft. And that's where you want to stay and lean into that. Maybe you want to be a domain expert in a specific field, in a specific discipline within design. Really do that homework yourselves. And I encourage people, don't wait till you're looking for a position to do this. A lot of times that's when we do our assessments, when we're trying to like get out of a role. It's like, okay, now what am I looking for? Be proactive and do this exercise when things are going great, right? I'm in a wonderful role as a senior manager right now. Very thankful and grateful for the company that I work for, the organization that I'm a part of. I still do an assessment of what does 3 years look like? What is my next move? So that when those opportunities come up, I have a very clear vision of what I want, and I'm not trying to scramble. So I encourage you, do the work early and often, invest the time in yourself, and really, really be brutally honest with yourself of like, where do you get the passion? Where do you thrive? Where you have the ability, there's some companies and some opportunities where you can try the manager route, and if that's not what works, then you're able to revert back to an individual contributor. Again, you have to find that out and do that investigation if that's something that's available. And you have, your own manager that that is invested in your well-being and your development. And so that's why that lead position is really great, because you get a sense of that, of leadership, without necessarily going all the way into the manager, and then saying, you know what, maybe I do want to keep going, or maybe I do want to go back to individual contributor. And that's okay. We're seeing a lot of that, especially in the tech realm. That's acceptable. Like, people aren't going to shun you like, oh, you're a manager, now you're not. Like, why are you doing that? It's not a setback in your career whatsoever, so don't think about that. it's again doing what's best for your career, and especially as women, we can be even harder on ourselves about what people think, and was I not ready or not strong enough? No, you took ownership of your career to say, you know what, this isn't for me. This isn't where I'm thriving, and so I'm going to move over here and get into this individual, go back to the individual contributor. I'm going to pause there. I know that was a lot of information so far. I've got more to give you, but let me pause there and allow for a moment of reflection. I'm going to stop sharing really quick. I'll come back. A moment of reflection, and yeah, let me hear what's thinking, what's top of mind. What was an aha moment for you? We can share.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Renee. People, we can just use our emojis at the bottom if you like to put your hand up, and we'll call you out to ask your questions, or just feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. And I'm gonna leave the floor for a couple minutes and see if anyone's got any questions. There you go, Hilary. I saw you being very gripped by the conversation, so that was great.
Yeah, Renee, oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here and sharing this with us. Like when you said IC at the first, I was like, I honestly don't even know what that means. So individual contributor. And then I've had friends who have like gone through that journey where, they got to that director, like, we're going more the manager side. And then exactly what you said, we're like, I can't deal with people. Like it's a lot because you kind of go more human resources, right? And
Yeah.
that's like, I think that's such a good thing to remember. It's like, where do you get your passion? Like what drives you? And then looking back at that experience, this literally keeps coming up in so many conversations. Like, don't leave all of your experience just because you don't think it's relevant. That is part of you and like adds to you as a designer, UX person. And I think it's like, it's so nice to hear it yet again. You're like the third person who said it, and it's like, okay, confirmation, that's it. So thank you so much for just sharing that and like being open about that. Because
And Hilary, can you tell me where you are, where
Yes.
you're located, and what's your role?
I am in Toronto, Canada.
Yes. Oh, Canada. I love Canada.
Yeah. It was snowing yesterday and now it's nice today.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. And then my role right now, I'm a UX, I'm actually like a communication and presentation coach for UX designers in English specifically, but I work with a bunch of different designers and UX designers in like researcher mode, more UI components. That's why I got into it, is because there's such diversity that it's like, it keeps me really engaged. It's not just like going over English and how to present. It's like what they actually are doing, and it's really cool. Yeah, so that's what I'm up to. But I talk to a lot of designers. And that just keeps coming up. It's like people have that tendency to like leave their past, like leave whatever experience it was, and it's like, no, you can bring that with you, and like you said, audit it and really like get to that nitty gritty, right? And I think that's just so amazing to really reinforce, I think, because that's like something that I always that I struggle with also, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
I recently made there was my recent post on LinkedIn, and thank you for sharing, Hilary. That was wonderful. My recent post on LinkedIn was just that, about pivoting and, understanding that what you bring to a position, to a role, to a company, to a team is about what makes you uniquely you. We can all take the same design courses. We can all learn the same research methodologies and things like that. It's what you bring that makes you uniquely you. What is your culture add? What is your craft add to the team, where they look at you and say, oh gosh, we need that. We need her. We need that skill set. And it really changes the way that you think, because in a pool of researchers and designers where we know they're, doing the same type of interactions or things like that, how are you going to stand out? And the best way is to be uniquely you.
Yeah. Oh my god. I keep getting goosebumps. I'm gonna mute myself because I'm like, yes, yeah.
It's all good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hillary.
Right, let's see.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mirella's got her hand up. Go on, Mirella.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Renee.
Hi,
Very,
Mirella.
very nice to meet you today, and I really enjoyed your presentation. I'm glad that this is going to be on YouTube, and we're actually live now on YouTube. So, yeah, this is really something to, I guess, rewatch, and we'll talk about these in other sessions. And one of the things that, as you asked about the aha moment, it was the part where you actually explained when the best moment when you have to ask yourself what I like to do and what I'm actually good at. And it's not when you are looking for a job or at your lowest or worst moments, but at your best moments, where you can actually be more sincere to yourself, I guess. But this is something that we always forget. We need to be reminded of. And yeah, we always find ourselves like in our worst moments and asking, what am I going to do now? Like, I don't have clients. Let's say I don't have clients at the moment, and what am I going to do now? Instead of thinking in another period of your career, when you're actually, as you said, when you're enjoying the flourishness, if that is a word, I'm not sure.
It is today. We'll make it today. It is today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, that is something that we can actually be not accept whatever comes up, but just be, yeah, think more clearly. And yeah, that is something that we need to put, I don't know, as a pin message on our community chat. And yeah, never forget. Thank you so
I
much,
love
Renee.
that. And Mirla, where are you joining us from?
I'm based in London.
Wonderful.
I'm in the UK. Yeah.
Yay.
It's
I
a
love
wonderful
that.
day today. It's very
Nice.
sunny and strangely.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, one of the greatest pieces of advice that I've ever received in my career has totally changed how I think about my career journey was at a point when I was just a little bit frantic and concerned about where I was heading in my life. And I had been in a company and I started to like look at all these different types of roles. I was like interviewing over here and interviewing all over the place. And someone who saw something in me sat me down and she said, Renee, it is so important that you make sure that you're not running away from something, but you are running towards something. And I was like, oh my gosh. When you're running away for something, like you said, like, you could just accept anything because you are so frantic to get away from something, and you will probably jump into the same situation again because you don't have a clear destination, a clear point of reference. But when you set that intention and you make sure that you're running towards something, you have an objective, it's very clear, then it's directional. Then you're not as scattered. Then again, you're more intentional about what you're going after, what you want to be a part of. What are the things that you know that it's going to make you thrive and flourish versus just like, okay, I've got to just get out of this thing. Okay, I'll just take anything. I'll just do anything. I'll just go anywhere. And then, that's what builds up the frustration over time because then you're just in these cycles, right? Where you feel like you're not going anywhere. So when we invest that in time in ourselves to take inventory, when those moments are great, when you're feeling good, it becomes a lot clearer. And it's work over time. Like, don't try to do this in one sitting. Don't try to knock it out. Like, set a reminder, whether it's like every Friday, if it's self-care Sunday, whatever it is, but invest that time in yourself. Like, I'm going to sit down for an hour and just write out my career goals. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at it. And iterate on it. Like maybe, no, maybe that's not what I wanted. And I'm going to do some research and I'm going to investigate. I'm going to talk to someone. Like literally make that part of your journey and your lifestyle.
Would you say this is a decision that's best to take on your own, or sometimes what are the kind of people that might help you in also, I don't know, clearing out your
Yeah.
ideas, or maybe confuse you even more, so people to avoid?
There is a, oh my gosh, I am.
Because I'm sorry, I'm asking this because sometimes when I've found myself in this situation, I've talked to some people that were pushing me towards going, be accepting anything, just being the good enough stuff. Instead, and others that were just pushing, yeah, go for it, but they were very, very few, the people who were just going for the risk. And yeah, it is it really good at talking to people, or is it just something that, at least in your case, you decided on your own?
Yeah, it's important. That's a great question. It's important for one, you to recognize your own internal compass. Like, where is your internal compass pointing to, navigating you to? You also need to be very clear about the other person's intentions and experiences. They may be coming from a place of fear themselves. They are probably talking from a place of experience that they've only, or maybe they don't have, experience, but they may be limited by their own, um, inabilities, and I'm not saying everyone's wrong, but you need to make sure like you are investigating who your source is, right? It's hard to try to paint a vision from someone who's never thought out the box. It's hard to get advice from people who have never taken a risk themselves. So those people are probably never going to be the ones to be like, go for it. Yes, do that thing. If that hasn't even showed up in their lives, right? So just be very, very mindful of where you're getting your information and advice from. And I tell people, be a sponge, right? You are able to squeeze out the things that are not relevant to you. That, like I said, I always tell people, like, I may not say everything that resonates with you. Squeeze that out, right? Put that stuff away. But there's maybe a couple of things or gems that you retain, so you don't have to consume everything. And there's a lot of information, a lot of experts out there who are claiming to be experts.
The gurus.
All the gurus, all the things. It is important. Carla Harris, who is an amazing speaker. You have to look her up. She is just, oh my gosh. She talks about pearls of wisdom. She was a vice chairman of, or is a vice chairman of JP Morgan, maybe vice chairman. I may be misquoting her title, but Carla Harris, look her up. She talks about having a board of directors within your own career. Like, who is on your board? Who is in that circle? Is it someone who is in a role or in a space that you're trying to get to? You definitely want to have those people, right? If people like you're trying to aspire to be and you're trying to, get to that level, you want to have those type of people, right? You want to have people who are going to tell you the truth. You don't want to just have a bunch of like yes people who are just going to always just be like yeah sure, but people who are going to really check you in your own type of misguidance or things like that. So do that inventory of like who's on your board or where you're getting that information from.
Thank you so much, Renee. I think we're noting down your replies and many quotes from your presentation, I guess, today.
Awesome.
That Hillary will present. You'll see later.
Okay.
Maybe. Oh no.
Not today.
Not
sorry,
today.
I'm not. I usually make bubbles, Renee. I'm so sorry. I usually take notes and like make like this word map of the presentation, but I'm actually like doing some self-care today and understanding my own limitations.
Love
and
it.
not getting discouraged by that and just coming instead. So there won't be a bubble today that I can present, but I can always rewatch it and make it later when I can grip a pencil, because right now I'm limited that way. So
Got
sorry.
it. No,
Thank
no,
you,
no.
Marvella, for bringing it
No
up.
worries at all. I mean, we love Renee. We absolutely love Hillary's bubbles. I call them bubble of thought because every time we've got an event, she just wraps everything, all the key information into these beautifully designed bubbles. I'll show you later. But Hillary, please don't you ever apologize again. You're very much excused, and the fact that you can make one today just makes it more precious. It's a rarity. Just do it whenever you can.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay,
no worries at all.
sorry, Hillary.
It's okay, Marilla. Thank you.
That's because I really love your bubbles. Okay, I'm done.
Awesome.
Let's see if anyone else. But yeah, Renee, I mean, the chat is going on fire here. Everyone is absolutely loving everything you're saying. Yeah, you just gained a couple more fans, I guess. And when you were talking, I was just thinking of this kind of metaphor of being ourselves as a river. So I just wrote down, be a river, don't be a pond. Just like always keep on developing, keep on flowing, and gather all these skills and these useful tools that you're going to use for yourself. And people at Floxies here, they know that I always say I haven't got time for imposter syndrome or anything like that, because I'm not trying to impersonate anyone else. I'm just trying to be myself and bringing that person to the table with all the skills that I have from all sorts of different jobs. I currently work as a teacher, primary school, helping children with special needs, but that doesn't mean that tomorrow I can't become anything or something else, because I do believe in different phases of our lives. And as you're saying, all these skills, not necessarily just the hard skills or the technical skills, but the soft skills as well, are so ultimately that's there we're making the people that we are today. So, and you're presenting yourself to to the job that you want to do. So I think is what you said is really key. Like, realize what you like doing and then just try and find the way to get there. So yeah.
And you mentioned something, again, this is right on right in parallel to the post that I just made on Monday. Someone asked about hard skills and soft skills and being able to showcase those, and I said it is important not to think of hard skills and soft skills, because when we say soft skills, it's almost like soft skills are like toss away things and they're not as important as hard skills. But you create these buckets where it's technical skills, it's interpersonal skills, it's communication skills, and then it evens the plane of how important they are. So it's not like this hierarchy thing. It's no, they are all relevant, they're all important, they're all going to show up in the work that I do. So yeah, I always encourage people to just not even say hard and soft skills, right? Just put them in these buckets that are linear and they're on even planes.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Anyone else?
I'm gonna take like 2 minutes, or let me look at time. Okay, let me go through a couple of more slides.
Sure.
And share with you all really quick. Okay. So I just love this slide because it's so pretty. But as you're thinking about, again, areas that you thrive in and areas that you flourish, and people will say, well, aren't those two in the same thing? And I'm just like, no, because flourishing I look at is like where you truly blossom, right? Where the thrive is where you're growing and you may be getting bigger and taller, but that flourishing now is where you're able to blossom. You're showing your vibrant colors. You're able to flourish in a way that's impacting others, right? You're able to, I'm a plant mom, so I just love all things plants, but you're able to pollinate in different ways when you're flourishing. Your impact is being felt, not just internally with yourself, but you're flourishing now that others are enjoying or being able to, I want to say reap the benefits, but they're able to enjoy the things that you're doing and you're giving, in different ways. I'm not saying giving all of yourselves, but Hillary, to your point, to your skill sets, you may be flourishing in a way now others are enjoying the way that you're flourished with your bubbles and things like that, and that brings them joy as well. So thinking about the areas in which you're doing that, and again, is it the craft, is it the building the things, is it getting down into the weeds of the actual designs as the practitioner, right? You are you're in the practice of design. And again, as a manager as well, you can be in the practice, but you're more in the practice of the people versus the actual discipline of design. Still have knowledge, still have expertise, but now you are really into more about, again, the people development, spending the time into the operations, the HR portions of it, helping to create systems so that your teams can, again, do their best work, that they can show up and be their best selves. How are you thinking about that? While, of course, influencing the craft, but does that make you thrive, right? Helping other people do their design best work, do their research best work. How are you able to do that? Whether you're an IC or a manager, the foundations is always about finding your voice. How do you show up in your space um, most effectively? And with this group of women, I think this is really important to lean in on and to understanding of how do you find your voice as an IC. I am a huge proponent in making sure that you know how to speak about your work confidently, you have conviction about the space, the things that you are working on, and really be able to talk through those things, really be able to present on those things, and have a very clear point of view of what it is that you're doing. And again, it becomes a really great benefit because when you're able to find your voice, when you're able to use your voice, especially in the spaces, again, as an ICN manager, then begin to understand, how to navigate these spaces that you're trying to get into. So it's not just about mastering the craft, the thing, the design, the execution, but how are you able to show up um, as a designer, as a researcher, as a UX practitioner with your own voice? How are you articulating your work? How are you communicating who you are as that person in the industry and the craft um, that you are a part of? So really, figure out how you are showing up as your voice. And Hillary, I keep on coming back to you. You know, the bubbles is a really great example of this is something that people look to for you as like she does amazing. She's able to create the story in a way that no one else can, and it's a way to showcase your voice as a as a designer, as someone who communicates. Like, this is a storyteller, this is someone who can tell this story in a visual way, and it's amazing. And so again, these different ways that you can find your voice. So sometimes it's not the articulation as well, like the vocal finding your voice, but how does your work show up as well, right? Your work could actually speak on your behalf as well. So not just finding it, make sure that you are using your voice in these spaces as well. So as an individual contributor, you should be able to use your voice, defend the spaces that you are in. It is, again, as a UX practitioner, a user experience person who is on the front lines and championing the experiences for people, sometimes marginalized people and groups, it is important for us to really be able to use our voices in an effective way, that we are, one, not doing the craft, not doing people any harm, not doing ourselves any harm, but really being able to speak up and use our voices in a very important way. So again, as you grow as an individual contributor, through those journeys from an associate person, a junior person, a senior person, or a staff person, it's always important that your voice gets strengthened as well, right? So that you can, create those spaces where you are able to show up. And I will say, as managers, it's important for managers to help create those spaces. So it's not on the ICs to always have to like do it themselves. Their leadership has to make sure that we are creating spaces so that people can use their voice in effective ways, and be able to navigate these spaces as well. And I'll send out a couple of these. Oh, I do want to talk on this real quick. One last point. A lot of people go into management for this reason. They think, I am going to make a lot of money as a manager, so that's the way I'm going to go. And listen, that's usually how the systems have been made up, where in order to really see growth or see more money, you have to go this manager route. But times have changed, and times are changing, where now individual contributors are actually getting competitive salaries of that of managers as well. So the motivation shouldn't be money, right? It's actually, again, what makes you thrive and what makes you flourish. So I just really appreciate how industries have taken the stance of, listen, you can be an individual contributor and do exceptionally well, in your salary, in your equity, and how you're growing, because we want to make sure people are in these roles for the right reasons. And so thinking about that as well. So if you're in management and you don't like people, and listen, I know there's people who are still going to do this anyway, have at it. But just being mindful that you are probably doing yourself and other people more harm versus really helping them. So if money's the motivator, you could still make that money as ICs. And I know that's something that people don't talk about, and they should talk about, especially as women. Hello, like we're talking about pay equality and everything. Yeah. We should be very comfortable about talking about salaries and what we're worth, and being able to be paid like our male peers. And heck, sometimes we should be paid even more than our male peers. I'll say it. But being very clear on that in terms of when you're making these decisions in your career path to go the manager or IC route. Finally, again, I was just talking about this. Who were your mentors? Remember thinking about who you want on your board. Create those spaces of influence that will help you and not harm you, and always keep going and keep growing. Just keep, as Claudia mentioned, I love that, like being a river. Just keep flowing. Just keep flowing. And again, connect with me on all the medias. I'd love to keep this conversation going. I love this community already. You guys have been wonderful. And I'm going to stop sharing.
Oh dear, thank you so much, Renee. I think, today is a bit intimate compared to other events that we might have had, but I think this just doesn't take away from how special it was today. I'm very positive, of saying it on behalf of everyone here. Everyone absolutely loved your talk. We're all feeling super inspired by it and motivated. I personally, one of my goals here is to really pump those voices up of everyone in this community. Aida here just started a newsletter about what we do in the community, but as one of the goals of the newsletter is actually to pick a Floxie each week, which, by the way, Floxies comes from plants. So I love the fact that you're a plant mama, because you really took care of us today for an hour. So that's just everything is lining up so nicely. But yeah, one of the things that we're going to do in the newsletter is to pick a Floxie each week and really talk about them and what they do, and just empower these amazing women, because it's so important, and it's just shocking to see how still underrepresented, and our voices need to be heard. And the money talk is super important as well. Like I'm from Italy, I live in London, and I remember the first payday that we had here, I just literally went into the staff room with my payslip and I was like, guys, how much are you making? Like, what is this? And that was a cultural shock, because you should never do that in a British environment. So I learned that quickly, but I'm just really open about talking about everything. And I do agree when you say that motivation should be what makes you thrive and flourish, because you're not, as you say, you're not doing any good to yourself or other people. So, and life is too short to be miserable and unhappy. So
That's exactly right. And life is too short to make other people miserable and happy or unhappy. So don't do that. Don't do that. But this has been great. Thank you all so much for having me, and looking forward to continuing the conversation. And hopefully I'll be in London or UK soon, or coming up sometime this year. So I will keep you posted.
Please do let me know. Yes. And you know, we would love to have you, you know, here with us. Join our Discord if you like. Like, just come and hang out with us. We all loved you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate all of you. Enjoy the rest of your week. Again, continue to thrive and flourish, and do that work on yourselves. Invest in yourselves. You are all, you know, who else is going to do it? So you should do it for yourself, for sure.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you so much.
You all.
All right. Take good care.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And we are closing the live. Thank you so much. Christopher Coleman, I love the fact that you're always here on a Wednesday supporting us. We will just return the favor. Let me know if you want to do a stream together. Be super keen. But for now, I'm just going to say goodbye. Goodbye, YouTube, and take care.
Bye, Christopher.